Near mint condition, the home of collected editions. Oh my gosh, look at that panel of Batman. You have the absolute, you have the deluxe. DC Comics firing on all cylinders.
Welcome back to Near Mint Condition, everybody. We're going to be taking a first look at the DC Finest Catwoman Vengeance and Vindication trade paperback by Jim Balent. Let's go ahead and get into it. What is up, everybody? I am Dom of X, Near Mint Condition Manager. Today we're going to be taking a look again at the DC Finest Catwoman in the latest installment of her collected edition series. This is the front of the book, if I may. This is a cover featuring Catwoman in her 0-hour appearance, although there's some stuff I'd like to say about that, but nonetheless, it is a collection cover by none other than current Catwoman era artist Jim Balent. Let's go ahead and take a look at the spine years 1994 to 1996. And if we stack one right up next to each other, we can see that we do have the post-crisis Catwoman now collected up to 8 years in total. Of course, we wouldn't be leaving here without a look at the back, which I actually am very happy that not only, again, you have the years highlighted, you also have the synopsis and the same presenting DC Finest stories. They also have the same color, same hue, pretty much the same look, with the exception that the gradient here is a little bit darker on the bottom, or at least the gradient is just a little bit off here in the middle. That is just my Photoshop inside talking, but very, very happy with the design choices, both at the same printers at Celisco. Let's go ahead and dive in. Let's go ahead and dive into Catwoman Vengeance and Vindication DC Finest trade paperback. Of course, both of the collection covers are by Jim Balent, as who else would you have representing this era of Catwoman? On the left-hand side, you will see your classic copyrighted material information, along with the editorial information of the teams, printers, etc., ISBN, and then on the table of contents, it is listed in 2 pages. No extra contents, though I will say it does not have an age rating for this. This is going to collect Catwoman issues 0 and 13 through 32, Catwoman Annual number 2, Batman Shadow of the Bat issues 43 to 44, never collected before, and a Showcase 95 issue number 4 story. Catwoman ends up more tattered than she appears on earlier in the issues or the stories that she is in. Or sometimes she is in predicaments and situations where I will just say the modesty sometimes is a little bit left to be desired. Nonetheless, this is continuing on the same vibes and the same track that we were on with the previous volume, and I applauded DC for not just starting out with the first 12 issues in the last volume, but also including ancillary stories such as the Mindy Newell Catwoman series. That sort of leads us to where we are with this trade paperback. We also left it off in the middle of Night's End, where we are dumped into the Batman Azrael storyline, which I will leave for you all to figure out as to what is going on there. But nonetheless, these are just the Catwoman excerpts. One thing that I will say in regards to Night's End, at least for this specific series, is that I really like the way that they mapped out the Harley Quinn DC Finest, where we are not only we are unfortunately going to be thrown into no man's land, as that is where Harley makes her first appearance. But Catwoman, her issues that are all collected in here, similar to the Catwoman by Jim Balent trade paperbacks. There's no plot summary. There's It's just you are thrown into the wind and good luck with the rest. Now, granted, unlike the previous issue, you are starting off with a one-off and a caper, where it's just more so that she is dealing with the after effects of all the status quo that is surrounding her. And I can say the same thing for the 0 Hour tie-ins. There are 2 in this issue. We already saw one of them be collected in the part 2 for 0 Hour. Issue 14 in particular is thrown in there because it does have the, oh hey, we're counting down to 0, and suddenly everyone is disappearing from the timeline and continuity because of the 2 villains that are in charge of it. Now, granted, what these 0 Hour tie-ins do is they explore sort of more Catwoman's past. What are you taking away from her in the line straight of continuity? What does it mean to be Selena Kyle in the context of Gotham and the DC universe? Does her life matter? Does her story matter? And you really do get to see different aspects of this is how she's growing up. She is a different girl than the rest of the folks might have it. In this book, you are going to not only get 95% of it is Jim Balent art, so if you are him for the Jim Balent art, rest assured, you are not going to be disappointed with the output. But in this title, you will see creators or writers such as Joe Duffy, who takes the Knight's End tie-in. You'll also have creators such as Alan Grant and Doug Mensch. Doug Mensch authoring and writing and scripting the 0 Hour tie-in issues. And Alan Grant in the specific Shadow of the Bat crossover that I will get around to later. But not only that, most of this title and most of this volume are stories that are written by Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon takes a hold of the script and pretty much the tone for most of the rest of the title, at least for the current ongoing, with a lot of the stories that are in here. A lot of the stories that are in here are one-offs or 3/4 part storylines, where we do get Catwoman or Selena Kyle in situations where she is being hired by somebody to steal something, or if there is an agency or somebody in needing of assistance, she is always going to be there to help out that situation. Sometimes you will get storylines such as there is this random, actually a lot of these anyways, end up where we are off into a random European country that is fractured or split off from the Soviet Union and somebody please tell me how to say it. I have heard documentaries say either, but please let me know in the comment section down below how you guys prefer to say it. So I'll say USSR from now. So anyways, fractured states of the USSR, where there is a trinket that needs to be stolen or that needs to be retrieved, and there is often a large sum of cash. This is a heist book through and throughout. 90% of the stories that I would say in here are heist stories. You get to see Catwoman flirting or dangerously teasing these weird artifacts, these weird treasures, and it often ends up with her, of course, being thrown into the wind against her spirits. Oddly enough, one of my favorite issues in here, as I am flipping through this, is the story where, or there's a two-parter where she goes off to steal this movie script, and for whatever reason, this movie script has the insane, or will have the insane reaction of completely altering things. So it is up to Catwoman to figure out how to save the movie script. Hilarity ensues. There are actors and actresses where it's clear, like, okay, like you obviously needed this to be approved by the Comics Code Authority and the higher ups, which deem these suitable to be read for most audiences. So you are left with a movie in and of itself, and with scenes being cut out and played around as if, oh my gosh, they had to cut that out because that would definitely not make it for a comic that is appropriated for all audiences. We're also thrown into, yes, another semi-retcon into the origin of Selena Kyle. We've already seen it in the 0 Hour, or talking about already in the 0 Hour appearance. And obviously, we also talked about the Catwoman series by Mindy Newell. But this time, associate editor and inker of the Jim Balent covers, Jordan Gorfinkel, I believe that is how you say his name, takes a shot to see if he can throw some of his ideas into the lore of Selena Kyle and her origin story. We figure out that there, just like Batman, there is a secret league of very, very deadly ninjas that, for all of a sudden, takes up a liking to Selena, and Selena also realizes, I might not be the best thief in the world. I might not be the most adept at my situation. So she meets up with a brand new rival whose name is Kai, and they figure out their own twists and turns into the making of the person who would eventually be Catwoman. And the story actually ends up in a very satisfying conclusion, one that I actually didn't anticipate liking all as much, considering that we do get to see a lot of Selena's earlier life in some of these stories. But one thing that I am concerned with is that, man, I really do think that DC was trying to figure out, like, which Selena Kyle origin are we going to be using? Because both the Mindy Newell and the Jordan Gorfinkel stories end up trying to tie themselves into the greater span of Frank Miller's re-origin of Batman and Batman Year One. And so you have to retroactively fit pieces of Selena Kyle's life to associate yourself with that story. And sometimes those creative decisions can be a little bit more than desired. So I know that it's not specifically for everybody. Let me know down in the comment section below if you prefer the Newell or the Gorfinkel remaking of the origin, whichever you guys prefer. Me and my take personally, I'm still trying to figure out which one that I prefer over the other. Maybe I'll have a better answer once I reread these stories, because sometimes I'm just asking myself, like, did these stories really need to be retold in the way that they do? But you get to see a little bit more of Holly Robinson and some other characters that are very closely associated with Catwoman. And speaking of closely associated with Catwoman, you do also get some team-ups and also some versus and match fights that you wouldn't have seen coming. Obviously, Chuck Dixon at this time is writing a triage of Bat titles. Not only is he doing Catwoman in this specific series, but around this time, he also will be taking up the mantles of Tim Drake and Dick Grayson as Robin and Nightwing, respectively. And so what better opportunity than to have your series or your title showcase, wait, I can use characters that I'm also writing in other of my titles to show up in other books as well. So you also have Robin thrown in there. Sometimes you will have Selena, like I said earlier, end up in situations where she doesn't expect. And one of those situations is actually ending up in Argentina or South America, where she finds out that the people that she has to deal with are Nazis. Way after the war has been over, you get to see her fighting Nazis, which I think is absolutely unbelievable. I did not know that Selena Kyle, even in the 90s, was ending up in situations where she has to find herself in that. And not only that, but she also does get a chance to cross over with Batman in Batman Shadow of the Bat, issues 43 to 44, and as well as her own series. This is the Ratcatcher and Catman crossover called The Secret of the Universe. It is a 3-parter, 1 issue drawn by Jim Balent, and a couple of other issues drawn by, in my opinion, the legendary Barry Kitson. Now, I kid you not, I had to reread this series, or this specific 3-parter, a billion times, because I am definitely not used to this art by Barry Kitson. I have been trying to dig myself and try to understand, like, wait, I've read a billion things by Barry Kitson before. I've read his work with Mark Waid. I've read his, like, on the Kingdom and also on Justice League Year One. I've also read Barry Kitson or seen Barry Kitson's art in the pages of Hickman Future Foundation. And I'm questioning, like, is it just me or some of these pages anyways, the art is so different. We have two separators, one colorist and one separator, specifically on this book. So the finishes might have been completely different. The art style is so completely different from the regular Barry Kitson that I'm very much used to. And I found that really interesting, but you do get to see more of the Ratcatcher. And if you were reading through the DC Finest Batman, you had also seen some of the first appearances of the post-crisis Ratcatcher and how they make a mark on the DC, or specifically Gotham City. And in this case, you also do get to see Thomas Blake. And if you are familiar with Gail Simone's Secret Six series, this is the Thomas Blake, yes, the Catman that we all know and love. He's off for this cloak that will grant him powers. And Catwoman and Batman apparently need to do something about it. But not only that, you do also get some other tie-ins with some other series. The Contagion series is at the trail end of this book. You have parts 4 and 7, which is actually just another questioning of, are we going to get every single part of Catwoman just laid all in here? And I find the inclusion of that to be rather unique, again, in that you have Peacemaker and Harley Quinn, which are mapped specifically so that you only get the Peacemaker bits and not the whole story. But this one, they are clearly leaving in full issues so that you do get to see a wider tease of the stories that she's laid in. But again, that might just be a character thing, and considering that those are the same way that the Jim Balent Catwoman trades are mapped, it might be for that specific reason. The Shadow the Bat issues that I mentioned earlier also aren't collected in any single other DC collected edition. Those are the first times that we get to see the Catwoman series collected. So I find that really interesting that they did toss those in there. Annual 3 was also omitted because the publication date is up to April 1996, that one, and it came out, or publishing date for that one was June, so we will see annual issue number 3 in the next DC Finest wave for Catwoman, whenever that might be, or maybe we get to jump around to different eras of Catwoman's storyline. You will also have a lot of other different one-offs in here. There's one with Gorilla Grodd that I like. I had no idea that Catwoman venturing off into Africa via the underworld event, if you will, was definitely something that I didn't know that I needed it. But I found it really interesting. I really, really like the way that Jim Balent draws gorillas. Like, I legitimately do. Like, I do think the way that he draws Grodd is one of my favorite things that I have seen Jim Balent draw ever. And that, as they say, is that. Now, if you're looking for a license to steal, I mean a license to buy this DC Finest Catwoman series, please check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code Near Mint Condition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
And that is going to be it from me. I am Dom of X. Let me know down in the comments section if this is a collection that you are looking forward to, and if you already picked up the first Jim Balent era Catwoman DC Finest. Let me know if you're going to get this one as well. That's it from me. Please stay safe, mentees, and have a great day wherever you are.